Imagine walking into a room filled with hundreds of strangers. Some faces disappear from your memory within seconds. But then, one person walks in. You don't know their name. You've never spoken to them. Yet somehow, your eyes keep finding them. Your heart beats just a little faster, and without realizing it, your brain has already started making a decision. But here's the question. Did you choose them, or did your brain choose for you? For thousands of years, humans have believed that attraction is mysterious. Some people call it destiny, others call it chemistry, some believe it's love at first sight. But modern science tells a far stranger story, because attraction doesn't begin in your heart, it begins in your brain, long before you even realize what's happening. And once you understand how it works, you may never look at love the same way again. Imagine two people meeting for the very first time. Neither of them speaks. No introductions. No conversation. Just a few silent seconds. Most people would assume nothing important happened, but inside their brains, millions of tiny calculations are taking place. Without asking your permission, your brain is quietly answering questions like, do I feel safe around this person? Do they seem confident? Do they remind me of someone I've trusted before? Should I pay attention or walk away? And the strangest part, you never hear those questions because they happen beneath your conscious awareness. This is why attraction often feels so irrational. You've probably heard someone say, I don't know why, I just like them. That sentence isn't as strange as it sounds. In many cases, they genuinely don't know, because the conscious mind often discovers attraction after the unconscious brain has already started building it. For decades, psychologists and neuroscientists have studied why this happens, and what they found surprised even them. Physical appearance matters, but far less than most people think. Voice, body language, confidence, familiarity, timing, shared experiences, even tiny details your conscious mind barely notices can influence how attractive someone feels, which raises an uncomfortable question. If attraction is shaped by invisible processes, how much of our romantic life is actually under our control? To answer that, we first need to understand the most misunderstood organ in the entire human body, not the heart, the brain. So, how does your brain decide that one stranger is attractive while another isn't? To answer that, imagine you're walking through an airport. Hundreds of people pass by every minute. Most of them disappear from your mind instantly. But every once in a while, someone catches your attention, not because they're necessarily the most beautiful person in the room, but because your brain noticed something it considered important. The strange truth is, your eyes don't see the world objectively. Your brain edits reality before you're even aware of it. Every second, it filters millions of pieces of information, throwing away almost everything and keeping only what it believes matters. Attraction is one of those filters. Long before you consciously think, I like this person, your brain has already analyzed dozens of subtle signals. The way they walk, the way they smile, the way they make eye contact, the tone of their voice, even how they react to other people. None of these things guarantees attraction, but together they create a first impression that can be surprisingly powerful. And here's something even stranger. Your brain doesn't just look for beauty, it looks for familiarity. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who somehow felt familiar, even though you'd never met them before? Psychologists have spent decades studying this. People are often drawn to faces, voices, personalities, or behaviors that remind them, consciously or unconsciously, of positive experiences from earlier in life. Not because they're identical, but because they feel emotionally safe. This doesn't happen to everyone in the same way. Every person has different experiences, different memories, and different preferences. That's why two people can look at the same person and feel completely different levels of attraction. One sees someone unforgettable, the other feels nothing at all, which proves something important. Attraction isn't simply about who looks better, it's also about how your brain interprets what it sees. Confidence works in a similar way. Many people assume confidence is attractive because it's loud or dominant, but real confidence sends a different message. It often communicates emotional stability, comfort with oneself, and calmness under pressure. Those qualities can influence first impressions, although they are not the only factors. Now imagine two people saying exactly the same sentence. One speaks with relaxed eye contact, a genuine smile, and natural body language. The other avoids eye contact, speaks nervously, and constantly looks at the floor. The words are identical, but but the feeling is completely different. That's because humans don't only listen to words. We read expressions, movement, tone, emotion. Sometimes the message behind the words matters more than the words themselves. And then there's timing. This is one of the most overlooked parts of attraction. The same person can seem ordinary on one day and unforgettable on another. Why? Because our emotions, stress levels, life experiences, and circumstances constantly shape the way we perceive other people. Attraction isn't frozen. It changes. It grows. Sometimes it disappears. Sometimes it appears when we least expect it. Which leads to another fascinating question. If attraction is influenced by biology, psychology, memory, confidence, and timing, then how much of what we call chemistry is actually something our brain quietly creates behind the scenes? The answer is far more surprising than most people realize. So, if attraction isn't just about beauty, then what is it? The answer lies inside one of the most powerful organs ever created, your brain. Every time you feel attracted to someone, your brain begins releasing chemicals that influence how you think and feel. One of them is dopamine. It's often called the brain's reward chemical, not because it creates love, but because it makes experiences feel exciting, motivating, and worth pursuing. This is why the beginning of a relationship can feel almost addictive. You think about that person constantly. You replay conversations. You check your phone more often than usual. Small moments suddenly feel incredibly important. But here's where many people get confused. That intense feeling isn't the same thing as lasting love, because as time passes, the brain changes. The excitement slowly becomes something quieter. For many healthy relationships, feelings of trust, comfort, and emotional security grow more important over time than the rush of something new. And that's why some relationships become stronger, while others slowly fall apart. Not because attraction disappears overnight, but because attraction alone was never enough. Movies often tell us there's one perfect person, one soulmate, one magical moment where everything simply clicks. Reality is usually more complicated. People grow, circumstances change, communication matters, trust matters, kindness matters. The strongest relationships aren't built only on chemistry. They're built on thousands of ordinary moments that slowly become extraordinary. Which brings us back to the question we asked at the beginning. Do we choose who we're attracted to, or does our brain choose for us? The honest answer is probably somewhere in between. Biology may influence the first spark. Psychology shapes how we see other people. Past experiences affect what feels familiar. But every decision after that, how we treat someone, whether we build trust, whether we stay, whether we leave, those choices belong to us. Maybe attraction isn't a mysterious force controlling our lives. Maybe it's simply the opening chapter of a much bigger story. Because in the end, the people who change our lives aren't always the ones who create the strongest first impression. Sometimes